Real niggas know. Only my real niggas know. Yeah. We ain't comfortable as y'all. Nah, I've been in way too many bangos and brushes with the law. My real niggas know. Only my real niggas know.
Your top, your artist of the decade. Like what you, how did you go about looking at or deciding?
I think with me picking my favorite artist of the decade from 2010 to 2019, it's a few things I looked at. Just if they still relevant, you know what I mean? Their influence on the culture and the sound of the music, you know what I mean? Because music changed so much. If their sound's still relevant, it's just still popping. Culture, you know what I'm saying? You know, just appearance. It's a lot of things I factor into that though. But the main thing is definitely gonna be the music though. Like for me, if I go back and play the album 5, 10 years later and just listen to the whole album, lets me know like, all right, timeless music. And there's very few people like that for real. They got that timeless music like that.
No, let me. So is that fair to say for your if you say you look back at the music that came out 2010, now now if it didn't age well, but that doesn't necessarily determine if that shouldn't take away from them as far as the decade go, because we just looking at the full decade. Like if that album dominated that year though, and dominated for 2 years in a decade, just because 2019 it didn't age well, that shouldn't take away from it. Or do you, how you feel about that?
I just believe, man, like really.
Not timeless music, that's like more like looking at their career. But I mean, like if we just looking at the decade and say, all right, this decade, this person was the guy this decade. Not necessarily. Not his music from 10 may not have aged well to 19, but he was popping the whole thing, the whole 10 years though.
I guess with me though,
10 it still was dominating.
Yeah, I guess music I like though, that I really like, it aged well. You know what I'm saying? Like everything I like aged well. Like I don't really like stuff that's really like cool for like this certain time. Everything I kind of like just love is aged really well. Like,
but see how could you gauge? Because you already love it though. You loved it when you heard it.
But I listen to everything though. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I'm saying you said the stuff that you really love.
Yeah.
So like whatever you love in 2010, you really loved it. So you still gonna love it now. But that so how could you separate your love for it and how did it age?
Does it sound dated? Like, does it sound old?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, so I can separate something from me loving something, then kind of just like, I love this album, but it sound old. Like, I can separate those two.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can separate, like, I love this album, but if it sound, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can separate those two for sure.
Okay.
How did the album age versus me loving it and the quality of the music? Yeah.
Okay.
I take my personal opinion out of it a lot of times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have some top albums from the decade?
I got
favorites?
a couple, man. I got a couple. I'm gonna say my beautiful dark twisted fantasy, and it dropped in 2010. The album still sounds amazing to this day. To Pimp a Butterfly. That's an amazing album. And that dropped 16, 15?
That was 2015.
15. The album sounded amazing. It's crazy how you want to put like a Drake album there. But which album you want to put in there? People say Take Care. I like Take Care, but to me though, the one with the Nothing Was the Same though, it's probably my favorite Drake album. That came out
It was 2013.
2013. I had my list down. Now look at me. Dropped in the ball. I'm gonna say Watch Your Throne. It came out 2011. It's one of my favorite albums of the decade. Man, I want to say Good Kid, Mad City too. I'm like, damn, like it's just.
I mean, if it's one of your favorites.
Yeah, damn, one of my favorites. Views.
Okay, so now you just named all the same niggas. Like you just named all the same niggas. Like you just listened to three niggas.
All right. So what I'm saying is like I'm going over the decade, like the years, right?
Okay,
right.
Like let's do this.
Okay.
2010, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy came out.
Yeah.
Teflon Don came out. Rick Ross. Big Crit Was Here came out.
Mm-hmm.
Wiz, Kush, and Orange Juice. Now that's another thing too that happened. Nah, it ain't no more. That's what happened in the last decade.
Yeah.
Mixtapes, as we knew it, like went away.
So I would definitely say, I guess, in this decade, you would say mixtapes became albums. Is that what you're saying, pretty much?
Yeah, everything became like a project.
Okay.
So it's not like how we'll say, oh, this is a mixtape. I like his mixtapes better than his albums. Now it's like it's the project.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that happened. But
Kush Orange Juice definitely was one of my favorite albums in 2010 for sure.
Then we got Friday Night Lights came out.
I called late to that though. I was late on that one.
Pink Friday, that was Nicki first album.
Crazy.
Take Care was 11. The Carter 4 was 11. Good Kid, Mad City was 12. What's the 2 Chainz album?
Because Kendrick dropped too in 2011.
Yeah, Kendrick.
Overdedicated.
No. That was 2010.
Yeah, it's 2010.
2011 was Section 80.
Section 80. And that was crazy. That's one of my favorite albums of that year.
That first 2 Chainz albums, based on a true story.
Do you
that
like
came out 2012.
Titty Boy better or 2 Chainz? I know I'm saying like, you know, the sound a little different.
I mean, I like 2 Chainz. I mean, when I ain't Titty Boy couldn't rap for real. 2 Chainz can't rap too good. That for real. Well, let me take that back. Damn, I want to say that. I like 2 Chainz better.
Okay.
But 2 Chainz, back it was based on a true story, came out 2012. That was one of my favorite albums that year.
2012, okay.
God Forgives I Don't came out 2012.
I'm on 2011 still.
Nothing Was the Same.
Yeah.
Covert Coupe came out.
2011. That's a classic spit album.
Yeah.
Mixtape.
So you got, I mean,
albums,
it was all
yeah,
original.
It
was original beats.
Albums too, right? Yeah, albums.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I could, you know what I mean? So that's a classic.
So 2012.
Nothing Was the Same. My Name Is My Name. 2014 Force. No. I mean, I'm gonna name them now.
Okay, you're going through it. Okay.
My Name Is My Name. 2014 Forest Hill Drive.
Forest Hill Drive definitely one.
Freddie. Pinata.
That was one. I was late to
Rick
that
Ross.
too.
Mastermind.
That one.
To Pimp a Butterfly. Views. The Life of Pablo. Kanye.
Yeah.
444. Kendrick. Damn. Future Hendrix is one of my favorite. That's my favorite Future album.
That's the double joint.
Yeah, that's the one, the R&B one.
That's the joint right there.
The one he's singing.
That
That's
was
my
what,
favorite
2015?
one. That's 2017.
I was gonna say that just came out, didn't it?
Well, no, it's 2017.
Yeah, it's 2020. That's crazy. As you get
me-
older, you be like, something just came out. You be like, yo, that's 5 years ago.
Yeah, cause I still listen to it.
Yeah.
Rather Me Than You, Rick Ross. The Pusha Daytona.
That's a classic.
The Drake Scorpion came out 2018. Nipsey Victory Lap came out 2018. Supreme Blind Tail, that's one of my favorites. That West Side Gun. Channel Talk 3. Benny the Butcher, Bandana, Freddie. Plugs I Met, that's Benny again.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite albums too.
So I mean, it's a ton of music that came out.
A lot.
So it's kind of difficult to, you know what I mean?
And you kind of go with like the bigger artists more likely, and you kind of forget your favorites like the smaller artists. My focus always be on the underground. Like my focus always be like toward because I like my antenna's gonna always turn toward the underground artists first. Like
You know what I mean? That
Harder
just
the music because it's just raw.
yeah. I mean, I don't really like the singles. I don't like people doing I don't really like songs. You know what I mean?
Dirty Sprite 2, 2015. Did you not
I
like
ain't
that?
really. I mean,
Crazy.
you like that?
I like that album a lot.
Nah, I wasn't really a Dirty Sprite.
And I didn't think I would like that album, but I like that album now. And also, if you're reading this, you too late.
If you're reading this, it's too late. You like that? I ain't really. I mean, it was okay.
Okay.
I mean, it had some songs I like, but after the love, you know, the ghostwriting
The
stuff,
ghostwriting thing kind of.
it kind of made. I don't
But-
even like listen to it.
So, prior to hearing that though, right? You thought that album was crazy, right?
I like most of it.
Yeah.
It was some songs I really didn't care for, but it had some songs that I really liked. But when that came out, just the album don't even sound the same.
Mm.
I mean, but anyway,
So much music,
So-
bro. So much music.
so was it a good decade for music?
I think so. I think one of
Okay.
the better decades.
So let's do it like this then with the music, instead of like picking the albums because it's difficult.
It is hard.
You know what I mean?
I can pick the most recent. Like I can pick my albums of 2019. You know what I mean? But to go back for the whole decade, that's a lot of music.
So let's what would a standout artist of the decade? Like, what do you have an artist of the decade? You have somebody you feel like should be the artist of the decade, or
I think if you just
because now this the difficulty with doing a decade, because people kind of be stuck in the moment
Mhm.
or
Definitely.
prisoners of the present, or if that's the term, or whatever.
It sound official.
What is it? Well, we'll figure it out later. But people don't remember the
Mhm.
beginning of the decade.
That's
They
true.
only remember
You forget the music.
the
sometimes.
what they finally what happened like more recently.
Mhm. When it comes to artists of the decade, right? So we talking about music, influence, changing the sound, being still relevant. I'm gonna have to say probably Kanye. I think Drake's a bigger artist, but I think Kanye has the most influence from 2010, 2019 on music, just in general.
I would look at it like, or the way I look at it is because of how much music changed over the decade, the types of artists that came out. Just the whole culture. I can't just grab one, so
Yeah,
I look at Kanye, Drake,
for sure.
Rick Ross, Kendrick,
Kendrick
and
for sure.
Future.
Future.
So I would say those are the top 5 artists from last decade.
You said Drake, Ye, Ross, Future, and who?
Kendrick.
Kendrick. Okay, I can't argue that.
I would say those are the big from just everything that took place.
Mm-hmm.
Far as because if we go to the beginning of the decade, Ross was the guy when the decade came in. Now, I mean, people act like they don't remember that now, but Ross was the guy. Like everything Ross put out, people was like, "Oh man, Ross, he the truth." Like people just love Ross.
Yeah.
Then, and him and Kanye every year was putting out like blockbusters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if it's hits or the album or whatever the case. And also you gotta factor in with Kanye the fashion element.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? He
Kind of fashion, he
His-
changed.
he changed the
He changed
fashion,
everything.
the shoes. You look at Ross. Now Ross, even when he first came out, Ross made all the fat boys want to be fly.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? All the
Hey.
fat boys used to want to
Hey,
be the
make my
goon.
fat nigga want to be fat like y'all. Like nigga, I'm proud to be fat. Like nigga, I ain't going to no gym.
It was a minute all the fat
Yeah.
dudes started growing a beard.
Facts.
So, and then you be like, the fat dude used to be the goon. Now the fat boy trying to get girls and stuff.
Yeah.
You be in the club, he trying to get the girl. Know what I mean?
True.
So, and Rick Ross, that's Ross. Because, I mean, they try to say Biggie. Man, I don't remember nobody trying to be fly for Biggie. You know what I mean? Like, after they
don't
saw
recall
Biggie.
it. I think
But-
Biggie did influence a lot of, you know what I'm saying, stuff though, kind of fashion, you know what I'm saying? Versace, all
That wasn't him though.
You think that's Puff?
Nah, you heard Pop.
No.
Now it's all about Versace. You copy my style.
Yeah.
Pop he was a Versace model.
Yeah. I guess,
I mean, you remember
seeing
Big with the pictures.
The pictures.
Like they took because he died. He got big after he died, and they, you know what I mean, kind of immortalized him in these. You know what I mean? But
sure.
If you saw like Biggie on the video, most videos like of Biggie
early Biggie one like that.
Yeah, prior to when he was doing the last album, prior to like that run, he was like the big dirty looking dude. Like, you know what I mean? No disrespect. But he had a hoodie on. He had a hoodie on. You know what I mean?
Lumberjack.
Or the lumberjack or whatever the case. He wasn't like no big. I ain't think about big. Like, oh man, big and fly.
Nah.
I'm like, man.
That became right. Like,
but Ross, you thought about Ross. Ross was big and fly. Like, Ross had the glasses.
In Miami too, though, so the weather different out there.
Man, it don't matter, man. Ross was big and fly, man. He was big and fly. Big could have had on the mink. He could have been a mink coat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He could have had the mink on with the mink hat.
That's a big mink.
Mink scarf.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever the case. If he wanted to, you know what I mean? The trench, he could have been, you know what I mean? Dip. Like, Heavy D, he was like a fat, fresh dude. Because I think they said that's what Biggie looked at Heavy D. Like, I love Heavy D because he fat, fresh dude. But whatever.
Fresh.
He,
They definitely influenced fashion, though. Forward, for sure.
Yeah. And then Drake just prolific with the music. Him and Kendrick prolific with the music. Sure. Future got a lot of babies out here, though.
You got a lot of babies.
You know what I mean? People like trying to sound like him.
I always say, man, people try to sound like Future, but they don't sound like Future. You know what I mean? He got his own sound.
Right. So, I mean, that's the, so Future, so that would be my 5 for the decade. But, you have any other things you want to say about that music?
I just love music, man. I think, music is just everything, bro.
Now, look, let me say this, though.
Hip-hop run the world.
This is something I noticed, too. Now, this one thing that I noticed last decade, and I guess I just noticed it. It'd be like the biggest artist, man. You'd be like, yo, why is, personally, I would wonder why, well, no, I can't say that. But me seeing, like Ross, when on the Meek song he did, 2018, he said, a verse he said, never nobody's favorite, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember a time he was everybody's favorite,
and
he was hyped by everybody. Then he said it a few times on his last album, never nobody's favorite. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, something that's crazy. But all the work he put in, though, the classic music he put out, you know what I mean? That's obviously an issue for him because he never get named on the list, right? Mm-hmm. The Drake interview that he did with Rap Radar a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Good interview.
Where he was talking about, whenever they talk about black excellence, they never mention him. Mm-hmm. And he feel like he gets slighted a lot. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, man, these guys, I guess artists are sensitive though, but these guys, sure. Like the top of whatever, top elite. Of their top type tier. Of music, they're top tier artists. And you know what I mean? They got like these insecurities. Even listening to Eminem, and Eminem, talking about what the Rolling Stone rated one of his albums. And he said he sell $4 million on a flop. So just like, man, like, so I mean, I guess for artists,
the masses to
you want people to like your music.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Love it, yeah.
Like I would think somebody that big, like, you know what I mean? Like it's so like you so far in the game now, it don't even matter.
You
know what I mean?
It shouldn't matter, but it does though.
Right.
Especially to the artist.
So that's like, man, it's crazy.
I think the thing about Ross, like you say, he's such a big artist. He got so many great records and features, stuff like that. But people really don't name Ross in their top 5 a lot. You know what I mean? Like it's just not done. It's not said. But I think the reason why though is because I'm just sitting here thinking, like, how many classics do Ross got? Like, how many classics is he certified? Like, does Ross really have?
I mean, see, that's what. So how you certify a
That's what I'm
classic?
saying. Music, man, honestly, bro, it's all people's opinion of it. Like, that's what it is.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, some people will say you got
What does the culture call, like, how many classes? Because, you know, like, with certain artists, you know what people say.
But see, then that's another thing we got to talk with the culture. The culture has moved to the internet.
That's true.
And
That's true.
Whoever on Twitter say it's a classic the first day it came out. Come on, man. What is this?
That's his schoolboy, my bad.
But the culture is whoever get on Twitter and say it's a classic.
Well, it's kind of instant classic, like, on Twitter.
Who made a classic? Like, when the last time you heard it? Because now for an album to get called classic, it's gonna be called classic by people that's pretty much dick riding, right? Like Freddie Gibbs' last album. That's a classic.
That's a classic album. That's a classic.
How many times you heard people say it though?
Well,
so 10 years from now,
look at where we at.
But look, 10 years from now, you'll ask this question like, who in the culture revered it as a classic? Like, you can't really pinpoint.
You can't
like
really.
Who said? But that's what I'm saying. So
with us growing up, right, we kind of gauge classic off of people who hung around, right?
Nah, the classics.
Or
you had
Action magazines, right?
The Source and the XXL.
Okay, so but
see, that was they were. But see, it was more, the music was, the culture of hip hop was still so new, and it was so pure that, and it still gave you like a close to accurate gauge of how good the music was.
Yeah.
And it tell you about whoever album, whoever sent it in.
Yeah,
Now, the major people don't even talk about the underground guys. Like,
that's true.
We just started hearing about Griselda. How many albums they put out that we like, oh man, that's a classic. How many? Like, all of them, damn near. Like, they put out like 20 classics. And they just started talking about them last year, 2018, somewhere. Like, mention them.
But it's crazy how we call some a classic. We will. And somebody 25, 26 be like, man.
I mean, but they not, we talking about hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
We talking about classic hip hop album.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we talking about a classic. I don't even know what they call that music now.
Exactly.
But whatever style of music that is, that might be, they might can say, oh, this is a classic.
Yeah.
But like, for what we listen to, from where we come up off of, we can gauge like, oh, this is a classic album.
Cause I listen to music for this long, and
Yeah.
And I see music change a little bit, so I can kind of gauge a little bit better than you, who only been listening to music a couple years for real.
Right. So then you gotta say, then you gotta look at, all right, you listening to, all right, let's look at it, right? You listen to all the Currency albums, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you can tell me how many you think is a classic. And Currency put out 65 projects in a decade.
I was thinking about that the other day, bro.
And also, if I'm not mistaken, man, I don't know how many, but I heard Gucci Man had like 101 projects he put out.
In a decade.
Not in a decade. Like, I think that's like his career. I don't know how many that was in a decade. I ain't want to not mention it. You know what I mean? Because I went, even though I haven't heard, I don't listen to Gucci like that.
Not me either.
But he put out that many, I want to mention it.
But I'm aware of it though, yeah.
But Currency, you listen to Currency, right?
Mm.
So how many classes you think Currency got?
That's crazy. So you say you got 65, right? And I can know like maybe like 6 albums I think like just classics. Like,
okay, cool. Do you sit down with all the Ross? Have you sat down with all the Ross music like you sat down with Currency?
I listen now. Currency albums these past couple years, it's been dropping so much. I ain't really sat with it. But Ross albums though.
All right, let's look.
Okay.
You looked at Teflon Don. You sat with that before?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you? God Forgives I Don't. Did you sit with that?
God Forgives I Don't. That's, what year is that?
That's 2012.
No, I probably didn't sit with that.
Mastermind. Did you sit with that?
I saw Mastermind. Everybody was talking about it.
So you didn't think Mastermind was a classic?
So, all right. My opinion of a classic, right? I don't skip nothing, right? I don't skip no. On those 6 Currency albums, I don't skip nothing. But Currency albums are not long though. That's another thing. You know what I mean? Like they ain't an hour long, bro. You know what I'm saying? And Currency got vibe music, but like I consider it to be classic. Like I don't skip nothing. I like every song on there. I don't. Ross may have like 2 albums where I like every song, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Every single song. That's hard for me though. I mean, but Ross, like you said, he had 14 tracks on the album, 15 tracks, 18 tracks on the album.
I think it might be like 14 songs.
Yeah.
But he had like a bonus. He had like a deluxe and had more. But
yeah.
As far as Ross,
what you think though? I mean, classics. Would you say?
See, I know the problem with happened with Ross.
Mm-hmm.
He started putting out too much music, so people couldn't sit with something.
Yeah, cause like Black Wall Street or something like that was.
Yeah, Black Dollar, then Black Market.
Yeah,
one of them was a I guess a free project, and the other one was the album. Then he did like a double disc, Renzel remixes around the same time. But it looked like the label wasn't really promoting him. So I guess that's how he was trying to get hot or whatever. But I think in this particular time,
you got some mixtapes though.
You can't just flood like 40, 50 songs within like a 3-month span like that. All on one, like you got to bust them up. You know what I mean? I think, and then Ross, he so far past that he could have just put the albums out, did videos, whatever the case. But
and so that thing with Spitters, he dropped so much music, but it's like 6, 7 songs, 8 songs. You know what I'm saying? And it's never like,
right.
You know what I mean? So he drop every month, but it's like it's short projects though.
Right. So, but this is what I say. I would say, you gotta, when you ask, like when we say what's a classic, it's an opinion, right? So
facts.
So with Ross, he don't really, like he say, never nobody's favorite. That sound about right.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? Because for the question you just asked, like what album that do people say classic? I mean, so that's what I'm saying. And he don't get pressed like Kendrick or whoever. You know what I mean? Or J. Cole. He don't really get the press like them. So, you know what I mean? So I guess it's just your opinion though. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But if you go actually sit back, all his stuff aged well too.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Everything. Especially after that second album. Was the second album?
Yeah, after the second.
He got his bag in the second one.
But
there's some mafia music.
The real ones know.